Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I think Professor Uppaluri is here, and we have about 9 participants. Shall we? Sir, if I have your permission, I'll move on, or shall we wait for a little while because we have...
As you wish.
call to RS, please. Professor Uppaluri, good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Professor Uppaluri.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
You just give a call to RSD. You just see RSD. Professor Mahapat, if you don't mind, can we just wait for another 2 minutes maybe to have a IGNOU Regional Center connections. So I'm not sure whether that is stopping them.
Okay, go ahead.
this special lecture on behalf of IGNOU Regional Services Division, New Delhi. The lecture is on planning and execution of recycle, reuse strategies for hazardous and non-hazardous waste generated in IITs. The lecture will be delivered by Professor Ramagopal Upalluri. He is professor in the Department of Chemical Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. Welcome to IGNOU, Professor Upalluri. On behalf of IGNOU Regional Services Division, New Delhi, Director Regional Services Division, Dr. UC Pandey, Dr. Hema Pant and other officials, Regional Director, Kolkata, Dr. Shiv Kumar GN, who is currently on leave, academics, officials. This is Dr. Sujata Datta Hazarika, Deputy Director, welcoming Professor Shrikant Mohapatra, Pro Vice Chancellor, IGNOU, Professor Ramagopal Upalluri. We are also welcoming regional directors of IGNOU regional centers from all over the nation, coordinators of IGNOU learner support centers, counselors of IGNOU, learners and others, esteemed members of IGNOU fraternity and invited guests. Ladies and gentlemen, this program is being organized as part of IGNOU's initiative in alliance with the Ministry of Education's response to the Office Memorandum for the Ministry of Personal Public Grievances and Pensions Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances. The direction to organize a special campaign for 2.0 for disposal of pending matters in response to the parameters chosen by the Ministry of Education on awareness generation of the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. Kolkata Regional Center is presenting this special lecture. May I begin with a brief introduction of our eminent invited guest. Professor Upalluri is a senior professor in the IIT Guwahati. He was a research fellow for the Robert Gorton University, Aberdeen, Scotland. He established the first international joint MTech in food science and technology, probably the only international joint MTech degree in India at IIT Guwahati, along with Diploma University, Japan. He developed virtual mass transfer laboratory for remote UG instruction, and also developed lecture notes in refinery process design that received accolades from training instructors in India and abroad. He has also contributed to the Bloom's taxonomy-based pedagogical class notes on the petroleum refining and petrochemical technology. He established the mass transfer enhanced electrolysis plating process as a novel research scheme and customized its utility towards non-noble metal impregnated alumina catalyst, developed low-cost wound dressing compatible PVA composite films. His special research, which is dedicated to waste disposal, are the functional. Experimentally, he has contributed to functional absorbance for heavy metal removal from waste streams, and theoretically and computationally, he has also contributed to machine learning techniques for large-scale solid waste management. Professor Upalluri, we are very grateful that you could take out your time and be here with us. A number of our IGNOU learners are online on the Facebook Live and on Twitter and all other social media. So your lecture is of immense importance at this time and age. May I now request Professor Shrikant Mohapatra, the chair of this lecture, to please deliver the chairperson's address. Sir.
Very good afternoon to all the distinguished participants, and particularly a very hearty welcome to our chief speaker and the star attraction for today's webinar, Professor Ramagopal Upalluri, who is the professor in Indian Institute of Technology at Guwahati in the Department of Chemical Engineering. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of IGNOU and the entire IGNOU fraternity. We welcome you to this webinar. As you all know, friends, this webinar is an initiative of Government of India, that it is under the Swachh Bharat mission. The Government of India since 2018 has launched Swachh Bharat campaign across the country, and in every sphere of our life we have seen that how people across the country, across generations, have become conscious that we have to keep our surroundings swachh, clean. And this is a major mega initiative under Prime Minister Modi's regime, which has really been appreciated not only in India but outside the country. And under this initiative, in 2021, a special campaign was launched on 3R. What Dr. Sujata Hazarika has now said, that it is reduce, reuse, and recycle. And these 3 R's are extremely important for waste management, and also extremely important for sustainable development. And we are all committed to the sustainable development goals of the United Nations, SDG, and it is also a very much part and parcel of the sustainable goal of a safe planet for everybody, a clean planet for everybody to have a healthy, peaceful, comfortable life. And under this special campaign, which was initially started on 2nd October, the day Gandhi Jayanti, and it will continue till 31st of October, every ministry have been asked to launch special campaigns. In Swachh campaign last year, it was the ministries and the departments at the center. In this year's campaign, that is Swachhata campaign 2.0, it is the extended office of the departments and the ministries. And IGNOU, as you all know, is having its regional centers at 57 places across the country, and there are more than 2,000 study centers in every nook and corner of the country. Therefore, when IGNOU initiates something at the headquarters, it percolates to the remotest part of the country. And I expect that our regional directors across the country not only have launched this campaign very seriously and sincerely, they must have involved the regional study centers also under their jurisdiction in the campaign to create consciousness and to create awareness. And in that context, the ministry has also enhanced the scope of this special campaign this year, and it has said that waste management, space management, your file management system, your pendency of the cases, be it student grievances, be it the representation of the members of the parliament, or representation submitted to the Prime Minister's office, Cabinet Secretariat, or the grievances of the students lying in the portal of the ministry or the university, all needs to be addressed. And the campaign time is given exactly 1 month. It was launched on 1st of October. Process got initiated on 2nd of October. Then 31st October is given the deadline, and on 5th of November, the Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances will close down its portal, because everything that is done across the country, including this webinar, needs to be uploaded on the portal to show what kind of initiative that the ministries, departments, universities, institutions have taken in this direction. So therefore, I'm very happy that today we are discussing on a very, very pertinent issue of hazardous and non-hazardous materials waste. And what is the strategy, technique, mechanism that has been adopted by our premier institutions, Indian Institute of Technologies across the country, to handle this in their campus and maybe in the larger society. And for that, we have with us Professor Ram Gopalji. And I was listening to your profile, sir. And I know that you are a befitting person for this kind of a webinar, where people will be keenly listening to you on the real implementation strategy and how it has been really implemented. Not only it is in theory, but it has been really practiced in our IITs across the country. So with these opening remarks, I once again welcome our chief speaker. I congratulate our regional center, Kolkata, for taking this initiative. I welcome all the other regional directors. I could see some of them here. RC Jaipur, RC Regional Center Ranchi, Regional Center Patna, and maybe few others. I also welcome our colleagues from Regional Center Kolkata and other regional centers. And most importantly, I welcome all the other participants who are here to listen to this very, very important and pertinent topic on hazardous and non-hazardous waste and its management in Indian Institute of Technologies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Professor Upaluri, we would like to now invite you on the floor, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Mahapatra, Dr. Sujata, my esteemed colleagues from other regional centers, faculty, students, and interested colleagues and researchers. Welcome to this important talk. Actually, one thing sir might have missed or madam might have missed is that there is a new office in all IITs called Green Office, GREEN, Green. Okay, so this Green Office is a mandate by the government of India in 2013. In fact, government wanted 2 offices to be established across all IITs. One is called Green Office, and another is called the branding office, the public relations branding. PRDR. It's called in IIT Guwahati. It's called PRDR, Public Relations and Branding. This ranking, that ranking system started in the IITs. So that's for the official purpose. But for the subtle cause, the government, it even asked us to start the Green Office. So I'm very fortunate to have my foothold on this first new office. Establishing a new office is very difficult because we don't have any proper functionalities and mechanisms and directions and ways and means by which we can go through it. And frankly speaking, I am not a hardcore environmental engineer or a scientist, but I am a professor of IIT, so I have half a dozen of areas of engineering in which I work. One of that is this liquid waste treatment. I work in that. But the Green Office experience really made me to understand many dimensions of waste management, which I would like to share with all of you. So whatever I am presenting here is based on my 6 years of work at Green Office, all the way from scratch to establishing a system. at Green Office. So kindly let me know, madam, if my screen is visible. I am sharing the presentation. Is it visible?
Yes, it is. It's just, yes, it is visible. It is
visible.
Okay. So welcome everyone to this talk. The title of my talk is Planning and Execution of Recycle Reuse Strategies. I'm not calling reduce here. I'll come to it in a short while. For hazardous and non-hazardous waste generated in IITs. So this was based on my experience as the professor in charge of Green Office from 2013 to 2019. 6 years I was in charge of this Green Office. So these are my contents. Introduction, planning of the waste management policies and execution, what we did at IIT Guwahati, what are the challenges that we often face and how we should go ahead in the near future. These are the 5 sections I have given here. So the first and foremost thing is that whether we like it or not, everything is becoming human nowadays. The money we make is human-centric. The activity we make is human-centric. The food we make is human-centric. Even the research we do is also human-centric. So I would say we are very passionate, and this passion is ever increasing with the 5G and all these new Gs that are going to come in. And the biggest threat, this human centricism, is towards biodiversity. We are only worried about our well-being and in the parameters that we understood in our well-being. So for example, when the COVID came, the oxygen was an issue in areas like Delhi, but it was not an issue in Guwahati IIT. The reason is Dr. Sujata also knows our campus is full of trees. So there was no problem of oxygen in the campus, and our lungs are already very healthy because of the good number of trees that we have in the campus. When our campus started in IIT Guwahati, there were no trees. So the engineering section, the founding engineers of the campus, they planted so many trees. Now, whenever we go through our administrative building, whenever we go through the climate, we find a lot of trees inspiring us every day to become like them. That is, become a little non-materialistic and non-self-centered. So after COVID came into scenario, there was a jolt. But the real jolt actually did not happen so far, according to many observations. Our campus, our beautiful campus, Dr. Sujata also knows, it resides next to the mighty Brahmaputra. And it is our duty to not pollute the river. So our directors have been insisting on this issue. So we have already a waste treatment plant here in the campus. The experienced researchers of the campus, professors, they have conveyed me that the sewage treated waste that is disposed into Brahmaputra is so good that even one can drink it and will not have any pathogenic effect. So it is so nice, the open aerated lagoon system that we have here. But the science and technology advances is throwing newer and newer challenges. The aerated lagoon system existed quite some time. It is not a new thing, but today we are facing many challenging situations. And the solution for all that is that we should reduce our valuing money and valuing biodiversity and ecology, not with money, but with the holism or the synergy that it actually drives in sustaining life and the cherished human activity. So a very good environment and a very busy place like IIT never makes us feel tired. Because even if we are tired, we go for a walk and then we again resume our duties back in the office. So ecology definitely has a role in improving the thinking of even the great professors. And we find that many great professors in the world, many great scientists in the world, they're very simple. The solutions they provide are very simple. So that also conveys that simplicity has a role, and that can be easily understood by valuing ecology. Now, the biggest problem right now is that the technology is thrown at a rapid pace, and the technology throws products at a very rapid pace. Like you can see that probably every day we are buying so many products that we don't even know. In my childhood, I never used to buy so many products. Probably if we buy a TV, probably we buy once in a year. We buy a stereo, we buy once in a. But today we are buying smartphones every week. There are homes that people are buying every week or every month. Every day, some electronic gadget, Diwali festival, gift, everything is coming up. So the main problem today is that we are producing products without evaluating their larger misuse or their larger threat. The same is the case with the smartphones. We always see that smartphones are very useful for our day-to-day life. But we know that those who are habituated to smartphones eventually get addicted to it, and eventually they don't have good communication skills, they get depressed. Many things are happening. There are good uses of smartphone, like we can have a nice conference call and discuss some subjects related to our human engagement and economics, but that is very rarely done. So the main problem is that the role of technology, the role of ethics, the role of the human sovereignty. Human being has a sovereignty over nature, but if that sovereignty is misused, then this is what probably would happen. That, for example, plastic. In India, many governments advocated that plastic, we have very less per capita utilization. So therefore, a mass production of plastic has been advocated. So now, lot of plastic has been generated, and recently there was a request from the government to ban certain kinds of plastic bags. So now places like IITs are also thinking how you can make plastic bags with sabudana, potato starch, and some other materials so that you can make it recyclable and all these things. So the first thing that we need to always keep in mind, or we need to educate people in the sustainability-based education, is this entire cycle of sustainability. So we are only looking at the process and the product. But the product disposal and the product after disposal, its treatment and recycle is often not taught in the curriculum. So therefore, if that is established first of all, like say for example, big companies that are throwing products without having a proper or a full, I would say, complete life cycle based waste management system. Without establishing that, if we try to do little research in certain subjects of our interest, it is not going to help the solution. So my suggestion or my feeling is that our education system at IGNOU and even IITs or any place that we are having is to have a complete cycle. Like if an industry is producing a product A, that product completely recycle and reutilization or putting it in the landfill, everything should be established rather than it should be just left by thinking that it will happen eventually. In the name of development, we quickly want our GDP to increase, but it should not happen at the cost of our own health and our own harmony in the ecology and biodiversity. So the point that we always forget is that even before we invented plastic, there was a world in which plastic was not there, and we still lived comfortably. Okay, there might be certain inconveniences, but we have another type of inconvenience today. So today we have another type of inconvenience. We have certain convenience, like if I am going on a flight, I can wrap up something like a sandwich and take it in a plastic bag. But the other inconvenience that we have is its disposal. Probably we are not yet exposed to that type of greater problems. But these problems are sooner going to happen when the landfill area is no more going to be available in our country. So therefore, the most important thing is to make everything sustainable or balance everything from starting to ending so that there's a complete cycle rather than a broken cycle. So that is what is required, and for this we require reconciliation. And reconciliation is something for which we should not bang upon economics. We should not bang upon the challenges. I mean, when the first computer was invented, these things were not taught because the computer was very expensive, but still it was produced and it was sold. So similarly, these technologies, they may appear to be very expensive at this moment, but if we started some sustainable technology which is expensive today, tomorrow it will become an inexpensive technology. I mean, it will happen eventually. And with the scale also it will happen. And if we don't reconcile like this, then we will be left up in the one-sided approach. Our holism and synergy is missing. And we'll be addressing technologies that are irrelevant to our lifestyle. For example, I always use notebooks. Now, when I use a notebook, I'm not conscious that, when I throw the paper onto the bin, where will that paper go? It is never taught. If it is taught, then I'll be more and more, cautious in using the paper. So the free availability of everything has become the norm, and we equate everything with money. We think that one notebook is only 50 rupees or 100 rupees. One notebook is not 50 rupees or 100 rupees. One notebook is costing us so much trees. It's costing us so much chlorophyll. That type of advertisement should be there, and restricted usage must be allowed to a certain extent. Otherwise, what will happen is that the sustainability will be very difficult to achieve. Certain boundaries have to be very strictly presented, and that has to be brought in the educational system itself, so that those who go outside, they can cultivate this in their jobs and in their careers wherever they go. Now, coming to our academic campus in IIT, I'm only talking all this discussion with respect to IIT Guwahati, but there can be something similar in other academic institutions. First of all, there's a lot of paper waste. There's a lot of paper waste. We produce, like say, for example, I have one PhD student. He or she publishes 5 papers, and 5 papers I usually correct on pen and paper. So I have 4 rounds of correction. So each paper is 20 pages. So 20 into 500. So 100 into 500 pages for one PhD student I use. This is only papers. Now again, this is another 500 pages. So one PhD student, generates about 1,000 pages of waste from my own desk. Forget about what the student does. So as many PhD students that you have, that many pages, because many people don't like correcting online because it's very tiring to the eyes. So people are still habituated to the old generation, correction mechanisms. Because you can correct wherever you are. You can correct on a bus. You can correct on a boat. You can connect beside Brahmaputra. There's flexibility, which is difficult when you work with computers, because you need to have battery and all this stuff. So it is infeasible to actually reduce the paper waste, because India wants to produce good number of PhDs. And of course, India wants many students to have IIT type of education. So education is expanding at a very rapid pace. So the paper waste is not going to reduce. So reduce is gone. Only recycle, reuse is left. Similarly, cooked waste. Cooked waste, if you see, maybe because the food is made, not palatable, students always throw some food. And my minimum estimate is that minimum 50 grams of food will be wasted per student per day. So in our campus, we have 5,000 students. So 5,000 multiplied by 50 grams. So it's how much? It's quite a lot. And that's on a daily basis. And where does this go? And other than that, we have fruit peels. We have, uncooked food waste also. Fruit peels, vegetable waste, market vegetable waste. Huge amounts. In a mess, we have a bigger hostel called Brahmaputra, which is a 1,000-seater hostel. That means food is served for 1,000 students. So where food is cooked for 1,000 people, you can imagine the amount of uncooked food waste that you would generate. A lot of waste would be generated. So even that is an issue. So this is a non-hazardous waste. Then the recent mantra of this, yuga is the e-waste, which is another, big issue. Like generally in departments or offices, we do a buyback policy and we throw our computers used computers or laptops back to the vendor who is actually supplying us. But please remember that we also have personal laptops, we also have personal computers, many of us have smartphones, and many used printers are also there in the residences which are thrown just like that, and they have hazardous components. So there we need to have a e-waste policy also for every campus. Many people think that e-waste is non-hazardous, but there are many elements like lead or arsenic that are used in this printed circuit boards, and that are very hazardous. Many heavy metals are used. So therefore, the e-waste also needs to be properly disposed. The chemical waste. Now this is a huge issue in IIT Guwahati. The chemistry department has around, I think, 500 PhD students, and most of them are working on experimental research, and they are producing huge amount of organic, non-organic solvents, all the way up to, I had a discussion with faculty here. They told me that in their own offices, they store like 100 liters of, fresh solvent, and that they finish in probably in a 2 months time. So every faculty would finish maybe 500 liters or 600 liters of solvent in their research, and they also use a lot of silica gel in their analysis. And you wouldn't believe, they generated about 4 tons of silica gel in a span of 15 years. But our chemistry department is very good. They have a collection policy and they don't want to spoil the environment, so they instruct their PhD scholars very strictly to work in this direction. So the solid chemicals and the liquid chemicals are enormous. The solid may not be good amount, the liquid is a good amount. The liquid is huge amount. I'll just show some photos also, you can have a look. And the biggest problem here is that there are organic solvents and non-organic solvents also. You cannot mix both of them. And they got carcinogenic chemicals in them. So you can't just dilute and throw it into the Brahmaputra. It'll again, that water will be again taken by us only. If we throw these chemicals into the river, it dilutes, and again that water will be pumped back to us. So if we don't treat it or we don't dispose it, then our own health will be finished. There have been cases where some local people came to IIT Guwahati and they complained that we are getting skin diseases because of some of your effluents. Later, when we analyzed it, we found that it is not our effluent, it is the effluent from other places that is causing this problem. Because our effluent is very well treated and we do a lot of dilution. In IIT, everyone is having very good hygiene standards. So the more you dilute, then the more the risk, the less the risk is for all these skin diseases and all these things. So nature also provides us many of these things in a very dilute form. But we convert them through our passionate thinking into a concentrated form, and that's where the problem comes in. Next issue is the biomedical waste. Our campus has got a medical section, and if our medical section has to function, it must dispose its hazardous biomedical waste properly. Otherwise, the permission given by Guwahati administration, Kamrup administration, will be cancelled. So therefore, there are administrative requirements also for the medical waste to be treated. Okay. And then we have the biotechnological research. A lot of biotech research happens here, who do a lot of research with the live, organisms, maybe organs, maybe microbes, you name, many things they work here. And they also dispose many of these things into the bin. If it is disposed, then that can become a huge hazard. So this is again hazardous. So you can see that the waste in the campus, when I took over Green Office, it was like, a stumbling problem or a biggest headache that we had. And the facilities we had in Guwahati also are bare minimum. But somehow we have we have solved some of these problems. Some of these problems are still not solved. It may take some more time, but they will be solved eventually. So as I told you, reduce is not possible because students need notebooks to write. It can't be reduced. I also need hard copy to check. I can't reduce it. The food waste cannot be minimized because there's always a disparity between consumer and vendor. So the consumer says food is not tasty. The vendor says I have cooked it nicely. So the consumer does not like it, throws the food into the bin. Cooked waste. A lot of cooked waste will be there. Then e-waste also has a similar philosophy. Of course, you may not generate more, I mean, for example, printer cartridge. Printer cartridge is also an e-waste, because anything you used in the electronic system is a e-waste. Similarly, tube lights. Our campus, when I did the tube light disposal from IIT Guwahati, our campus had, I think, waste for the past 15 years stored in different places. So we disposed around 10,000 tube lights in one shot. We collected, we kept it, and we disposed it. And kindly note, sir, we don't have any processing facility here. The nearest processing facility we have is at Kolkata. So we had to painfully spend money for the shipping of this waste. So all this, thinking was required. It is a very painful exercise for someone who is not interested in the nature. But since somehow I have this inclination, I always try to value nature to this requirement. So more the research, more the chemicals. Even that cannot be also reduced. Every year, the number of PhD students always increase in the department or in the centers. New centers are established. So the research never stops. Even the biohazardous waste also is increasing. The medical facilities are used by more and more people, because the more the population, more the strength of the community, and more the hazard that you would generate. So therefore, reducing the waste in the campus is not going to be happening at any time. It needs to be recycled and reused. Now, what are the options left for us in the recycling? First option is that, can you convert the paper waste into a fresh paper? No. Paper waste gets our ink, so therefore you have to make it as a pulp and you have to de-ink it, and then maybe you can use hand pressed paper, and you can produce the handmade paper. Okay, that's one approach. Again, the cooked waste cannot be eaten. It can be converted into some valuable product like biogas or by manure and stuff like that. Uncooked food waste can be converted into compost and can be used for gardening purpose. E-waste is hazardous. You can't recycle it without processing. Chemical waste is hazardous. You cannot recycle it without processing. And bio-waste, it can't be recycled at all. It should be disposed and finished. So therefore, in the existing forms, these things can't be recycled. So what are the options left for us for reuse? The paper waste can be converted into handmade paper, or egg trays, or paper plates. The waste chemicals such as silica gel, we can burn them. That's what we call as incineration. And we can generate some carbon, and that carbon can be used as fuel. And the organic waste can be distilled, and the solvents can be used as paints, the recovered solvents, and the solid leftover can be incinerated. Actually, I also did not know all these technologies. I came to know when I'm talking with the vendor only. So therefore, there are vendors in this field also. We just need to contact them, and we need to establish a mechanism within the academic institutions to collect, to ship, to process, and to get the certificate. So at least such a mechanism we need to establish first. Uncooked food waste, it can be handled in the campus by generating a compost. Cooked food waste, it can be used for biogas and also as a manure liquid. Now coming to IIT Guwahati, let me show you one small thing which I have developed. So probably all of you can see this. Okay, you can make me as a pointer. You can see this is an envelope that we have developed in IIT Guwahati Green Office. It costed us a lot, but at least we experimented. So some good amount of papers we have actually given it to one company called El Rhino. El Rhino is a company that produces paper from elephant dung. So they were happy to do this, but of course it was very costly, and then we had to again rethink about the strategy. But at least something we got, and many colleagues liked it, because what we converted is we converted them into an envelope, and we got some envelopes, good number of envelopes, and we distributed it back to all the colleagues. And these envelopes actually made many people think that they should be more and more conscious to the papers that they are using. So the waste papers generated have been recycled like this. coming back to my presentation. So it's written here, product manufactured by El Rhino Eco Industries under the Waste Paper Initiative of Green Office IIT Guwahati. This happened during my stay at Green Office, and this is how the envelope looks. Now, biohazard waste. What we did is that we contacted a vendor called Fresh Air. Now, Fresh Air processes medical waste, and we made an agreement with Fresh Air that we will also allow them, we will also request them to process our research waste also. So on a fortnightly basis, Fresh Air collects all the biohazardous waste and takes it to their processing facility. So what they do is that they incinerate it, that is burn it at a very high temperature. And then finally, whatever ash they get, they have their own landfill sites. And in that landfill sites, they try to, dispose it. So IIT Guwahati, of course, has to pay for the disposal of this waste. Incidentally, if we don't want to pay, we can also have an incinerator installed in our own IIT. But again, that requires manpower, that requires running expenditure, all these things. I mean, in a way, you can say that if you dispose, then you're washing the hands. But I am not happy with that. But there was no other mechanism when I was in charge of the Green Office. So at least some outsourcing system should be always available to us to handle these type of problems. Because from outsourcing, at least we will become conscious that there are certain solutions. We may have to pay, but some solutions are definitely available. Otherwise, we think there is no solution at all. Then all the solid and liquid waste chemicals are stored in a storeroom, and about 2,000 liters of these waste solvents are shipped to Kolkata and processed at a central waste solvent facility handled by the IR Chemicals of Kolkata. So for me to do this thing, many a times what happens, these vendors, they say that we are disposing your chemicals, and they just throw these chemicals somewhere on the road. So for this reason, I flew from Guwahati to Kolkata. I visited IR Chemical site and ensured that there is a plant like that and they're genuine people, and the certificate they issue is a proper certificate. Okay, because the way they everything, I'm trying to check. So we need to, look into this, because otherwise there's a lot of corruption and people may not take this thing seriously. So that is one thing. So they distill it and they use the solvent for paints and liquefiers, and the solid leftover they incinerate it. For the silica gel, which was pending in our campus for 15 years, some colleagues suggested me we'll make a circular boundary around IIT Guwahati and we'll dump it in a little depth. And I was not happy with it. The reason is that at IIT Guwahati, our water table is around 10 feet only. So if there is any heavy rain, then these waste chemicals can directly enter our potable water systems, and the entire purpose is gone. So therefore, this was the biggest challenge of my existence at Green Office. So I had one student called Bikram at IOCL Baroni, and he told me, yes, they do incinerate this type of things and they produce carbon and they reuse it, because industry also produces lots such things. So from there, I got this idea, and finally, Fresh Air agreed to incinerate this. And this happened when I was leaving Green Office around 2019. I mean, all the orders were done, and I left Green Office, and thereafter, this was also disposed. So this was the biggest challenge for us. Tubelite waste was also biggest challenge, but there are vendors in Kolkata. But for silica gel solid waste, there are no vendors even in Kolkata also. So you can see the photographs here. Left side, you can see here. You can see small, dabbas, like each are 20-liter cans in which, we collect the waste all through the year. And once in a year, I take the approval from director. I took the approval from director IIT Guwahati, get some budget sanction to it. And since there is no other vendor available, I have to certify that this is the only vendor, and I dispose it to that vendor and then pay him the money and then get the work done. So these vendors, they are registered under the Central Pollution Control Board Authority, and they also issue the Waste Treatment Supplier Certificate. So after treating, they issue a certificate also saying that so-and-so quantity of waste has been disposed. Because those records, one copy they should submit to me, one copy they should submit to CPCB, then only their license will be renewed. Otherwise, their license will be finished. So proper mechanisms are definitely at place. But the biggest issue we had is the shipping. Our cost, if it cost around 2,50,000 for one go, our transportation itself costed 1,30,000. So treating waste chemicals is not an issue, but transporting was an issue. But what to do? In Guwahati, we don't have any such processing facilities. Now, this is the biomedical waste that we generate in the hospital and also in research and all. This is how it looks. And it also goes to, not here. This is the vendor from IR Chemicals. It goes to Fresh Air, which is doing this medical waste processing for around 50 hospitals in Guwahati. So along with that, we are also processing our biotechnology research waste also. So these two things have been, kept at place during my existence at Green Office. It was very challenging, but somehow it all went through. Even tube light waste also, we found a way and the way to dispose. So establishing the mechanism first time is important. Once we establish, in some way or the other, it will happen. Now, coming to cooked and uncooked waste, it's not hazardous. And one important thing is that there are piggeries available in even when Green Office did not work. Piggeries means there are people, the Bodo people residing nearby IIT, and even when the Green Office was not functioning, they used to come to our mess and they used to collect our cooked food waste. So therefore, it is anyway properly utilized. So even if we don't develop this technology also or apply this technology also, it's okay. But on an individual basis, some professors are working to convert it into biogas. Like Professor Ajay Kalamdar is there. He is having his own personal project, not a Green Office project, and he's erecting huge, he's building huge processing units. Like in IIT Guwahati, he's trying to have a processor that can process 500 kg per day of cooked waste. So the huge units is trying to build. And again, composting facility, central facility was not provided. Probably if I would have looked into it, I would have done it. But I did not focus into it much because anyway, it's not hazardous. So hazardous is my priority. That's why I could not give my time to this. So the micromanagement is coming nowadays. Like we can have flower pots, and stuff like that. But tomorrow, we can even have composting facilities in places like, Guwahati also. These units are not difficult to manage. All we have to do is that we have to find the proper place who are doing this type of composting. They'll collect our compost as their feed, and they may give us money. They may not give us money also, so no problem. But the volume of waste generated by IIT Guwahati will reduce substantially because of the waste that is overall thrown. 40% waste is compostable waste. If we generate 100 kg, then 40 kg can be sent to composting facility. So 60 kg only will go to the landfill, and therefore our landfill utilization will also reduce substantially. But for this, the segregation should happen at the IIT level. The home-to-home segregation should happen, which is very difficult. The main problem is we don't have an established norm, and unless we are very strict to impose these things at the highest level, these things will not happen. Just like in the flight, we say, you must put seat belt. Otherwise, there is always that air hostess or a steward coming in and saying that if you remove it, we'll come back and we'll warn you. So that type of monitoring, if we bring in, then gradually, Gandhiji conveyed that bringing the change is very difficult. So the change, if we want to happen, the change should happen from our end. So many issues are there. Like stumble burning also can go off because stumble burning is very, very, hazardous to environment. Instead, you can make briquettes, and the briquettes can be distributed across different houses. And the number of, the stumble, in a stumble, you produce it in one go. If you have briquettes, then the distributed way is okay because in a distributed way, it will not pollute as much. But if we do it centrally, it will happen. There is one person called Mr. Ahuja who is running something called this stumble, management. So what he does is that he has a supply chain company, and this supply chain company goes to different villages, does agreement with the village panchayat, sarpanch and all, and they'll collect these stumbles. and they will send these stumbles to different places like industries or maybe biorefineries and places like that. So that way the stumble burning can be also reduced. So there are people like that, and let me tell you, I came to know about all this after I have ventured into the green office. Otherwise, I would have never met Mr. Ahuja and even discussed with him. Yesterday also he sent me a WhatsApp message. So there are people like him, and through that we can try to establish the network. Initialization is difficult, but once it is established, it can be easily formalized. Now the challenges, of course, is funds. The funds must be given by the administration, which happened to me nicely because it is mandate of government, and I have already established the policies. Now the fund regulation can also happen nicely. And self-sustainability can be targeted by looking for products such as egg trays and not paying for the disposal of the waste paper. So waste paper, many a times they say that they'll give us 5 rupees or 10 rupees per kg, but that is not a good way of looking in. Because most of the waste paper from Guwahati will be again sent to Kolkata through vehicles. It will like the way they operate these lorries is that the lorries bring some goods to Kolkata to Guwahati, and when they're returning back to Kolkata, they'll be dumped all these papers, and they'll reach the paper processing facilities at Kolkata. So Kolkata, IGNOU Regional Center being at Kolkata, has a wonderful role to play. By serving at least as as a nodal center to give all this information, collect this information and give all this information, and help many institutions in the Northeast and also in the Eastern sector also. So many things can be done by having this type of things according to my observation, because, excuse me, anything we have to do in the Northeast, our nearest point is Kolkata. Whatever developed technologies are there for the waste treatment, disposal, it's at Kolkata. And transportation is very high. And if those vendors, we asked some of these vendors, why don't you establish your firms here? They said, we don't have much business here, we can't establish. In Kolkata, we have good business, so therefore we can't move out from there. So therefore, it's a very great challenge, this timely disposal. And the fund must be also allocated for the translational research, like composting research can happen in the campus, cooked waste research can also happen in the campus. Maybe that they'll not function very efficiently, but at least we have to start somewhere. If we import technologies from companies, the companies will provide their technologies and they may not work here. For example, biogas. The biogas facility may not work nicely in Guwahati because Guwahati has a very cold weather during November to February. So therefore, the biogas system needs to be developed with the local, maybe some microbes are available locally, which may give very good, facility. So some research will be required on a large scale basis. People are doing research in a tabletop level, but it needs to be brought into a larger scale. And so composting biogas facilities, they can be established, and even handmade paper or egg trays, they can be achieved with basic facilities. Outsourcing mantra should be left over and self-service mantra should be brought in. This is where our Indians, we are lacking. We know one thing very nicely, but overall we cannot handle things. So holistic existence of the institutions must be achieved. And many a times we prepare technology and we throw it to outside institutions. But first, we must make our own technology. We must see what is required in our home. Then we can think of other things. So what is going on is a lot of professors, a lot of faculty have become very aware of all these things, and they're trying to develop a system. But as I told you, bringing a system requires, a completeness. And that completeness cannot come by at least, the completeness requires certain basic infrastructure, and from that basic infrastructure, we can try to, go to further levels. Like once I read somewhere in internet, there is one lady, she started developing, paper plates from waste paper. It is still there. I don't know how she is doing it. In America, she is doing it. So, if she can do it, then why can't we? Are we so nutty that we can't do it? It's not like that. The main problem is our focus is gone from all these directions. Our focus is gone more into the monetary aspects and less into the holistic and ecological, sustainability and all these aspects. But after COVID, again, people are becoming aware, and it is right time now that we work together. Like definitely, if IIT Guwahati and IGNOU, if we can work together in some way here, then why not? We can work together, we can share the knowledge, we can put a better system in place, and thereby we can allow gradually the evolution of our system rather than, me just giving this presentation based on my experience. I'm still not happy that, we are still outsourcing these technologies. I'll be very happy the day when these technologies could be established right here in the campus and we get a green rating for our campus. Like, our campus is very green. It got a Swachh Award. Also, recently we got, one of the Swachh Awards. But Swachh Award, according to me, should happen with the technology, because we are all technologists. If we are not technologists, if we are arts people, then it's fine. But we are technologists, so therefore the Swachhata should also be integrated with our technological thinking. So the summary is that the reduce, recycle, reuse needs will. The economics cannot dictate such noble mission. Micromanagement holds the key. If a campus with internal waste management system operates effectively, it will become a role model for others to follow. I'm not saying that IIT Guwahati became a role model, because it still needs to evolve with this composting facility and all these things. Even if an outsourcing mechanism can be put across in IIT Guwahati, I'll be very happy. So management requires outsourcing, but not at the cost of creative thoughts. Young students and experienced faculty have a lot of thoughts. But the main problem in our educational system is that we are very documentation oriented, and we are very, academic oriented rather than implementation oriented. So the technology must be grown at home, but not imported or outsourced. But that's what happens many a times. We want some solution, we just telephone. Like, I want some food, I telephone a hotel and I say, please bring food. Okay, why can't me cook it? That should be the thinking. From there, we can think what is the easiest way that we can manage things rather than, complicating things. So where there is a will, there is a way. This must be the mantra for effective planning and execution of waste management in academic institutions such as IITs. So I thank you very much for your kind attention. So if this presentation can inspire all of us, I'll be very happy. I look forward for your comments, suggestions, criticism, and also inputs.
Thank you, Professor Uppaluri. Your insights were absolutely invaluable. And particularly your insight about interinstitutional collaboration that you have put up, I think that is definitely the path to go. And IGNOU, I'm sure Professor, our seniors are here, and Professor Mohapatra is also here. Yes, IGNOU has its mandate, as you know, of democratizing. So we reach out to, the grassroots at the deepest level. And what we need is this high-level technology to go into the household till the last level possible. And an educational framework will, of course, be a very, very vital aspect. As you said, we need to have an educational framework through which we can identify how exactly these things can be, these small steps can be assimilated, so that even a small child is aware and they don't make the same mistakes. In the land of Upanishads and Vedas, I guess it is not a new thing for us. We are just being taught all these things afresh from the Western, as though it's some kind of a Western idea which Indians are not aware of. They were always there in our DNAs. We just have to revive them and get back through these modern processes. Thank you so much. And I just took this privilege as a moderator here to make this observation for your fantastic initiative. Sir, I see Dr. Hema Pant, RSD. She's here. And ma'am, would you like to share a few? Am I here?
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Sujata, and our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Mohapatra, all our respected colleagues from the regional center, and our very eminent expert who just delivered the very impactful presentation. I'm extremely sorry I joined a little late, and I was in another meeting, and I'm really delighted to be here for giving us this very insightful presentation on the topic of reduce, reuse, recycle, the 3 R's. And their significance in our lives. And as we all know that this is, this program is being organized across the regional centers of IGNOU, of the Indira Gandhi National Open University, as per the directives of the Government of India for the special campaign 2. And under that, which the thrust areas in that are cleanliness, of course, the Swachhata Abhiyan, and, office management, the record management, and dispensing with obsolete items, and efficient office management, as it were. So, and today's theme organized by RC Kolkata for this webinar is on the 3 R's. So I think it has been a very beneficial presentation for all of us. And as we all know that this mantra which has been given to us, and as Dr. Sujata very rightly said, it is all ingrained in our system. We just need to kind of revive it, as it were, and look into that, because that, of course, I think this is basically which will take us towards a sustainable lifestyle, or a sustainable future that we all are talking about, and through our present action. And I often quote a famous environmentalist, Jane Goodall. I mean, I think all those of us who are in this field or are interested in the environmental sciences would know that she's done a lot of work in the area of environmental studies. And she says that, there is not a single day when our actions do not impact the environment. None of us can get out a single day without impacting the environment, and the decision is with us, the kind of impact we want to make on the environment. I'm not quoting her, I just summarized. I mean, it's a gist of what her quote was. So I think it's absolutely important that we check.
I think we have lost her connection. Dr. Hema, are you there? So we will just wait for her to reconnect while we take a few questions. If there are any, if there's any hand risen, I saw a couple of hands which had risen, but they were put down after that.
No, we can still have, interaction, no problem.
Yes. So, yes, Dr. Hema, you are back.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Hello.
Yes, you're audible, Dr. Hema.
So, this concept of 3 R's, which has been been taken up in a mission mode, especially in this special campaign 2, and our honorable Prime Minister has given us this mantra for reduce, reuse, recycle, which is always there, but to take it up, take it forward in a missionary. Launched the mission life recently in Gujarat, which is the mission for life for environment. So you have to have, this was basically to inspire people to have in their lives, a model of living which is pro people and pro planet. So we have to keep the larger picture in mind. Our planet Earth is threatened by the latest, we all are aware of the natural disasters, of the great, the impact of our ways of living resulting in climate change, which is adversely affecting the environment. So all these have to be kept in mind. And also there is this talk of a circular economy, where there is a focus on production and consumption patterns. these concepts have managing our respective offices, all the government offices, wherever we are working. I think this really needs to be looked into the concept. And then, more terms have been added to this to further strengthen this movement. Like we have the 5 R's now, reclaim, refurbish, and so on and so forth. So with these few words, I would like to hand over the floor back to Dr. Sujata.
Thank you, Dr. Hema. Professor Upalluri, we just taking it a step further, since you have insinuated for kind of,
Sorry, I think there's a lot of...
It's crystal clear in IIT Guwahati. Madam's network is slow.
Yeah,
You were telling.
Yes, so
I'm
since
sorry, there's some network issue over here.
I know that. Thank you very much for your inputs, Dr. Hema. We will take a few questions now. I can see there are 2 hands raised already. RC Patna, we will take your questions.
Please,
Before that, I would just like, I'm just taking a little advantage of my privilege out here, but I feel that since IGNOU Kolkata, as you have mentioned, could be in some ways, helpful, or we could collaborate in certain issues which you are saying, I'm sure we can put up some kind of a joint proposal. And as you have already mentioned about institutions coming together, and this whole process would become much larger. So we could probably take this ahead with that. So I would request you to keep that in mind and think about this lecture as the first step to our future collaboration between IGNOU and IIT in future. Yes, RC Patna. Yes, sir. Please.
First of all, I congratulate Professor Rajgopal Upagiri for this wonderful presentation. Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, sir, our team Kolkata under the leadership of Madam Sujata and all my colleagues at all the regional centers, it was really a very inspiring presentation, because what Dr. Sujata just said just 2 minutes ago, that IGNOU and IIT Guwahati and other organizations who are working in this direction, they can come together, because the kind of the way that you people have been managing waste management of chemical waste and other waste in IIT Guwahati, that is inspiring. And since IGNOU also has a lot of waste, and we are working in a mission spirit during this period, there is a lot of scope for us to collaborate and take it ahead. Thank you very much, sir. I will request Dr. Sujata to share the details of Professor Ram Gopal, if he permits, so that कि हमें कोई जरूरत होगा तो उनसे हम contact करेंगे.
Sure. Please share my WhatsApp number.
Yes. And your maybe the email also will be put up for everyone to access.
Thank you so much.
For any urgent communication, you can contact me on my WhatsApp. Otherwise, by email.
Sir, thank you so much. Namaskar.
And I think there is a hand raised by Dr. Behra. Dr. Behra? Okay, there was a hand raised, and are you there, Dr. Behra? We got disconnected. Okay. Professor Upalluri, I take it that we can continue sending you questions regarding this. All of us, especially in IGNOU, because our outreach is so much into the grassroots, we come in contact with so many smaller districts and which are also places where this technology can be, IGNOU can partner in taking the technology to those areas. The high-grade technologies which you are creating has to find its way into the grassroots, and IGNOU could be one of the one of the avenues through our extended, learner support centers, to our extended study centers all over the country. We could do that. So I will see this as continuing.
I'll just tell you, madam, one recent thing that happened.
Yes.
There is one district called Bajali or Bajili. Bajali, I think, next to Barpeta. It was carved out of
Bajali. It is Bajali.
Bajali. Okay.
Yeah. There is a college there also.
Yeah. So in Bajali, I heard that it produces so much milk that it supplies to the entire Kurabi. There is a brand Kurabi in Guwahati.
Yes. That's right.
So much milk they are producing, and so much cow dung and cow urine they are producing.
Yes, which you can.
So, for biogas plant, cow dung is must.
Right.
So, I'm just telling that, the problems cannot be resolved without the outer community that surrounds our academic communities. Like if IIT Guwahati needs cow dung, like one of my students is working on a biofertilizer, we don't get cow dung and cow urine outside the campus because we have only 3-4 cows. Okay. So the point is that whatever technology we are suggesting, it should be for that particular location. It should respect the situation and the resources available in that region, and it should try to evolve into a formal mechanism. Like say solar. Northeast does not have much solar, so we cannot simply develop solar-based technologies here. But it will work very nicely in Maharashtra, Rajasthan, and that side. And even in Kolkata also, it works to a large extent. Maybe 1 or 2 months only, you don't have much heat. Otherwise, Kolkata also has, So that's why the region-specific technologies have to be looked into, and the regional resources also needs to be looked into to develop a proper waste management system. Like we can also have an incinerator with biomass. Why we need electricity for incineration? We can have an incinerator set with biomass also. But that biomass should be properly utilized so that it has good efficiency, and the waste, flumes of the incinerator don't, cause any pollution. There are technologies coming up, simple technologies, not very complex technologies.
After all, Professor Upalluri, your technologies are all created within the society. So it has to be, technologies are not independent. They have to be always relevant.
The main problem presently, madam, is that a technology developed in IIT Delhi will not work in IIT Guwahati.
Absolutely. Very contextual.
But the spin-off company from IIT Delhi will come and make a show in IIT Guwahati.
Absolutely.
So it should be again re-customized. It should be again adjusted to the local conditions, and then it can be implemented. It can't be just like one. I am very good in Delhi side, I will be very good in Guwahati.
It is very contextual.
Yeah.
Your green office, is it a multidisciplinary or an interdisciplinary office? I was just wondering from the perspective of
this is one of the administrative offices of IIT Guwahati. That the policy of green office is to think and establish these waste management situations and improve it further. It is not a research organization. It is a thinking. It's a think tank.
It's a think tank. Because a number of social science research is now going on in the area of waste management and sustainable agriculture and things, even in your department in HSS there. So I was thinking, do you have collaborative researches with the department? They themselves can provide a lot of data on the research that they are doing.
The main problem, madam, again, the main problem that happens in these academic institutions is that you take a small problem and you get a degree. What we require is a resilient center.
Yes.
A resilient center that values all the available resources, and from there you establish a technology and like say for example Kolkata may have certain demographics for the waste management. The same may not be valid for Bhubaneswar.
Right.
For Bhubaneswar you need something else, maybe some other customization has to be done. It can be similar technology, but it cannot be similar output.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And a little. We do have some more time, but if there's no more,
we can interact.
Would you like to say anything? I think Dr. Behra, you are here. Yes, I can see Dr. Behra and Dr. Priya Banerjee now. I think they're finally here.
Yeah, please.
Dr. Behra, are you here? Dr. Priya Banerjee, your hand is raised.
Yes, may I ask my question?
Yes, madam. Carry on.
I am here, madam.
Okay, so
Dr. Behra can go ahead.
Hello.
Dr. Behra, you can put your question first, and then we'll come to Dr. Priya Banerjee.
Okay. Sir, I wanted to know in the domestic, actually domestic garbage, whatever we are just throwing out to the dustbin, whether that actually so many projects are there, but in real sense that is not implemented in a proper way. How can we do that, sir? Because we have two buckets. One is for biodegradable and another is just polythene and etc. non-biodegradable. How can we are separating, but the person who is carrying out, they are mixing it up.
Exactly. You are saying a valid question, sir.
Yeah.
That's why this waste management requires a complete circular economy. That means you must first have the technology, then you must start segregation. Otherwise, what happens is that to get some photographs, we have, we think that we are doing segregation. We are doing, green, but nothing is really green. It is, green mixed with red only.
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, we need to catch hold of a technology, and we need to establish the technology's, capability and competence for our particular raw feed. Then we should go ahead and we should try to separate, and we should instruct our vendors to take care of it.
Like this has been done.
Recently, one vendor came from, one great singer is there. I don't know, Jupiter or someone I heard. His wife is doing a lot of, this segregation work. She said, please give us an opportunity. I asked her, we will give you opportunity. What is the next option? Do you have a technology? She said, no, I don't know about that. So this is the problem.
What will she do with that waste? She
wants to create awareness. So she wants to create awareness only. But awareness is not solution. Awareness must drive to solution. Then only the awareness is complete.
But most of the developed nations have this segregation in place. How can we sort of, scale the thing to fit our economic system and have, like what you said, segregation?
Madam, the thing is, we need to customize it to like entire Guwahati city. Can you have one plant or can you have 100 plants? And where will these plants be? So that micromanagement needs to be effectively addressed. That is also a very good area to work.
Yes.
Okay.
So who's going to do that? Where are we going to start? Who's going to do these issues? You've given the technology. The technology has to come from experts, technocrats, and the experts are like IITs and scientists. And after that, how is it going to come to as a real workable technology?
So there are different levels, right? One is the policy level, one is the technology level, another is implementation level. So if the policy level is not clear, the technology will be finished.
Finished, right? Exactly.
Like I was telling the seat belt example. If the seat belt is not insisted, then whatever you do when the flight takes off, it is of no use.
Absolutely.
So the policy has to be strictly implemented. Then the technology can be looked into. Like many times, what happens? Like here also, I heard in Guwahati, they are doing a lot of land filling. Land filling will not serve the purpose. Every village or every area, the government should identify some designated place. And they should say that this place is for waste management in this entire village or in these 10 villages. Like that, if you try to, have a distributed mechanism. So humanities and social sciences can also work in that direction. Like in the city of Kolkata, how many such centers will be required based on the watt-based solid waste generated. That can be also done.
Yes, absolutely.
How big should be the biogas plants that if you establish?
Absolutely. So we'll take the next question from Dr. Priya Banerjee.
Yes, thank you for all the wonderful insights which you've provided us today. They were really inspiring. So my question is, I've seen a lot of labs, and even my personal research was also on formulation of nanomaterials. So here again, we face another specific challenge on how to dispose of such solutions which contains a huge quantity of nanoparticles, because there cannot be any specific way of discharging. We don't usually know how to do it, and the majority of it is disposed of in the sinks, where it goes into our common effluent systems, which are not properly equipped for dealing with such issues. So how can you
Very
suggest
good question,
anything?
madam. Actually, I am also working in these fields also. What I feel with nanomaterials is there is something called zeta potential. Okay, probably you are aware about it. The nanomaterials have got, the solution, if you say that the solution is stable, it will have certain zeta potential value. If the solution is not stable, it will have certain other zeta potential. That means nanomaterials will not remain nano forever. Just like, the sun rises, but it does not remain in the east. It will come to the middle and will feel hungry. So life will be always moving only. We should know that, life is moving and we should just move around it. So what I feel is that while doing this nanomaterial research also, we do some research called stability studies. So what we do, we keep it in a solution and we keep it aside, and we will come the next day and we'll see whether the particle sizes increased or decreased. We'll do a particle size analysis or a zeta potential analysis. So like this, we do all these analysis and we will try to come to the conclusion that it is still nano or it is micro. So if you actually, pH has a very critical role. So if you adjust or if you play with the pH, you can even, change. Like I'll give you one example. Recently, I found a paper in which you can increase the turmeric encapsulation in milk by increasing the pH of the milk. No one did this work till now. Turmeric encapsulation, like that haldi doodh that you drink.
Haldi doodh, yes.
So that haldi doodh, you can also get haldi doodh better, encapsulation. That means better bioavailability, better mixing into our body by adjusting its pH. They found some method. We recently got one. So all these things are pH controlled. So if you play with the pH, you play with the additives. Many a times what happens, the solution is stable, but if you add something, it will coagulate. It will form a solid. And solid is the easiest to dispose. Liquid is more difficult. Air is the most difficult, because once you have something in air, it's very difficult to remove. Solid, you can confine it to some area. So you can make that nanomaterials coagulate by doing some more experiments and research. So that research can be also done. That's why I'm saying it should be translational research. It should not be just, my tabletop research. I prepared the nanomaterials, I got the PhD degree. It should be complete circular. I produce the nanomaterials. Tomorrow I'll generate this waste. What will I do to this waste? Everything should be studied in circular mechanism. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I think your lecture was an excellent avenue of learning. All of us have learned so much from this, and this is a subject which, as Professor Mahapatra and all our other representatives of IGNOU have already mentioned, that we feel so happy to be part of this lecture and this whole learning system, and it is so appropriate what you have taken. When I spoke to you, I was thinking, what should I ask you to speak on? And you rightly pointed out exactly what we needed to learn from you. Thank you so much. And there'll be a brief note of vote of thanks given by Dr. Mukherjee. Dr. Shantanu Mukherjee, the Assistant Regional Director, Kolkata Regional Center, will deliver the vote of thanks.
Yeah. On behalf of the Regional Services Division, IGNOU New Delhi, and Regional Center Kolkata, I pay my sincere thanks to Dr. Ram Gopal Paladi, the professor of Chemical Engineering Department of Indian Institute of Guwahati, and for his insightful lecture on the management of hazardous and non-hazardous waste. This has been organized by the RSD and RC Kolkata jointly on taking in the view of the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Public and Personal Public Grievances and Pension on the special 2.0 for the cleanliness and the Swachh Bharat Abhijan. So, Professor Upalleri, we have been enlightened for your insightful talk on your experience in the Green Office, how you have managed the waste generated at the IIT Guwahati, and you urge upon us other academic institutions to emulate your experience, your understandings on the handling of the waste properly, scientifically, so that the environment and the ecological balance could be maintained. So thank you, sir, for your experience that you have gathered as a professor of chemical engineering, as a in charge of green offices. Thank you, sir, for your sharing of knowledge and experience with us. Next, I must thank our Pro-VC sir, respected Dr. S.K. Mahapatra, Srikant Mahapatra, for his introductory remarks on how this thing has been come from the ministry itself. Earlier, ministry used to happen to observe the cleanliness drive, Swachh Bharat Abhijan. In the coming years, it has been bestowed to the subordinate offices like IGNOU. So IGNOU has been very lucky to have got this opportunity to organize a special lecture from a special expert from IIT Guwahati. Thank you, sir, for your sharing your thoughts and your experience with us. Next, I must thank also the Regional Services Division, especially the Dr. U.C. Pandey, the Director of Regional Services Division, IGNOU, and among with us, MADVS, Dr. Hema Pant, the Additional Director of the same division, for her sharing the experience, how IGNOU has been chosen one of the institutions to create the awareness of dealing with the cleanness and Swachhata Abhijan. Next, I must also thank the ministry who has taken up this initiative of giving the opportunity to the subordinate officers for creating the awareness among the students and the masses in general. And of course, last but not the least, of course, all the participants, including the learners of IGNOU and the other regional centers and my colleagues who belongs to IGNOU fraternity, who have come together today to listen to this special lecture of a special expert and putting up questions that have come to their minds and getting the answers, as well as creating the awareness among the students by spreading the news of the special lecture on waste management. Thank you all for their participation, their encouragement, and their support. And with these words, I thank all the participants, and I wish that this special lecture will be a torchbearer in this region for taking the initiative of waste management more seriously and more scientifically.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.